Welcome to Local Edition. My name is Brad Pomerance. We're joined today by Debbie Arnold. She is a member of the Board of Supervisors in San Luis Obispo County. I'd like to speak with you about our roads, our bridges, metaphorically speaking. When I think about the Central Coast, I think about beautiful roads that we travel up and down the coast. But there are some issues with the roads. What can you tell us about these roads in this area?
Of course. Well, in this county, we have over 1,000 miles of county roads alone, and that doesn't include our state highways that are thoroughfares through the county. So that represents a lot of funding for maintenance, and especially during the recession years, we have deferred maintenance problems just like the state does and so many other counties.
But as I understand it, the county has been able to budget in such a way where you are funding for road repairs. Is that accurate?
That is accurate, and we passed our budget just
recently
in June, and we prioritized, and that is the word I'm going to use. We had some unanticipated revenues that were a little bit higher this year, and I think we've seen that pattern statewide as well. But as tempting as it was to put them towards other things, we really did that. I'm very proud that we prioritized our maintenance funding, because as we all know, that when you let asphalt deteriorate to a certain point, it is very, very expensive. Now, importantly, I feel we are a county where our economics is based on agriculture and ag tourism. We're asking visitors to come to our county, drive out on our beautiful country roads, visit our wineries and some of our open spaces. And if we have too many potholes, I'm not sure they would be here to do that. So I think it's important.
And we have to realize, and I've learned this, that potholes in effect become a tax on the drivers, because when you go over these potholes, it causes damage to your vehicle. So it's as if you're being taxed because you have to wind up fixing that car.
Absolutely, the maintenance costs on your vehicles and so forth, and the safety factor.
Right.
So this year, we did vote to fully fund. Our Public Works Department tells us that $11 million would be the number that where we would be fully funded to maintain our roads annually and keep them at a standard that would be considered a good road.
At the same time, though, there are discussions in many counties, and in the past, counties have passed taxes on themselves to fund either new road projects or repair projects. And SLOCOG, which is the San Luis Obispo County of Governments organization, has recently released a poll. It's public, and it asks the question about whether, despite the fact that this year there's funding, do we want to tax ourselves so that the question of road repairs is put to rest? We have the money without a shadow of a doubt. Not new construction, but repairs. What can you tell us about that poll?
Exactly, and a little bit apples and oranges in that SLOCOG works with some of our improvements. We all know that our South County has some congestion, and there's talk about expanding the freeway a little bit. We know that in certain parts of the county, we need some on-ramps and off-ramps, either repaired or added. But when I was speaking about funding, that was our county public works funding their road maintenance for any new improvements or expansions.
So this could be, the poll asked about improvements as well, not just...
The poll just asked for the appetite to pass some kind of a sales tax, become a self-help county.
I see.
And the problem that we're seeing is Sacramento is really pulling back funding for counties to make these improvements.
And we're going to talk about that, because as we know, there's a special session going on. But I found the poll results quite fascinating on so many levels. The first thing I found interesting is that voters clearly understand we're in a drought. I mean, there is no question. Voters were asked their top priorities, high, medium, and low. Water supply was high at over 80%. I mean, that is a stunning figure. So we're doing something right in getting out the message. But then when we look at subsequent priorities, government budgets comes in above potholes, as does economy, as does crime and gangs, as does ag and open space. So, roads and potholes, I mean, still 60% high priority, but it comes in sixth.
Right, and it just shows that there are so many issues that the public is a little bit worried about. But what I found interesting is the 3 questions that are often asked is, can you afford a tax increase to fix your roads? And the answer in this county was, yeah, we can afford it.
Yeah,
is it a priority? Not so much. And you just spoke to that. And but the last question, do you trust the government to spend, if you do agree to a tax, do you trust the government to spend it correctly? And the answer to that was no. So I think that just tells us, let's do what we say we're going to do. And we started down that path this year. We're taking tax dollars and we're going to put it where it needs to go.
So let's talk about the state, though, because really, in a lot of ways, for me, out of nowhere, transportation and road repairs just catapulted to the top of the agenda. And there is a special session going on as we speak today. What we know is that the way roads are funded in our state, either repairs or otherwise, is through the gas tax. And there's a lot of different calculations you can make, but what we've learned is that because of inflation and because of more fuel-efficient vehicles and because we have not increased the gas tax in 20 years, the amount we're receiving is less.
Correct.
And so now Democrats and Republicans in Sacramento are trying to figure out what should we do.
Yep, that's right. But there are plans on the table. The plans that I prefer to see are the ones that say, again, the state, just like our county, had some unanticipated revenue. Somewhere, legislators I've talked to tell me somewhere in the range of $10 billion. So I think the taxpayers expect county and state government to be responsible with that money, and maybe one of their first priorities and responsibilities be maintain our infrastructure for our safety and for our future generations. Take that money and put it towards the infrastructure needed repairs. And if you still need money, you can come and ask us. But
it's interesting you mentioned that, because there was some frustration among some members, especially in the Republican caucus, that felt as if there should not have been a special session necessarily, but this issue should have been addressed in the budget. I mean, in the underlying budget. Let's fund it through the budget. It didn't happen, be that as it may. That being said, even Republicans argue that we need to look at this question and maybe try to find more revenue from different avenues. We've talked about cap and trade as a possibility. There's also been a lot of discussion. I'd love to get your view on this, especially given that you represent rural areas of our state. VMT tax, vehicles, miles, travel. So the government would look at the odometer, see how much you travel, and be taxed as such.
Right, and you'd be taxed according to how much you're using the road. But look at a county like ours. We're asking people to come, and we're asking them to drive that 10 miles out to the wineries in the countryside. Maybe if it's going to cost more to go to that business, you'd rather stay, in town and go to a different. So, I mean, as always, these issues are more complex than they seem.
Very complex.
And I would hate for our rural counties, people that live and work out in rural areas, of course, it would be more expensive for them to go to work, operate a business,
I mean, in some ways, it's pretty regressive. A lot of folks, let's take more urban areas. Let's say you live in, San Francisco area. You may move out, 40 miles to get more home, and then you have to drive in.
Yeah, it could really, all ranges of income and demographics could really be affected. So I think that we need to take a good look at that.
Okay, her name is Debbie Arnold. She is the chair of the Board of Supervisors in San Luis Obispo County. My name is Brad Pomerance. Thank you so much for joining us on Local Edition.